Welcome back, everybody, to Unite Mics Mayhem, and a first-time welcome, I suppose, to Season 2. Welcome here. My name is Zoinks, and of course, I am joined by Doob Snacks. We are going to be breaking down all the action today. But Doob Snacks, what is Unite Mics Mayhem all about?
It's about rip-roaring fun, friendship, high fives, and everything under the sun. So we've got 4 great teams that we invite to participate here. We're going to do all draft format this season, so we're going to be using that. Unfortunately, we won't be using the in-game draft, so we've got the absolutely beautiful to be immortalized in the Louvre once we're done using it draft screen created by Zoinks. But 4 great teams this week. Break them down for us, Zoinks.
Yeah, we have 4 very exciting teams. We have Kakuna Matata, returning team that participated in last season's Mayhem. A brand new face to our tournament scene is going to be XiS. You may know them as Baby Mazo and Company, one of the World Championship teams. We also have GT and Shungite, a new squad formed up rather recently with some great ladder players that have been performing very well in tournaments. So it's going to be a fantastic night, but we are going to be ready to be jumping into game. We already have the teams in lobby, so before we can get the draft kicked off in earnest, we do need to have a coin flip. Doob Snacks, would you please do the honors?
All right, you tell me who's got heads, who's got tails.
Okay, I think that we'll give XiS tails and we'll give Kakuna Matata heads.
All right, flipping the coin. It is tails.
Okay, so that means I believe that is going to be XiS is going to be our team A here, so we will keep it just like that. Now I will let the teams know. XiS has choice of first or second. Cool. We already do have some talk between the teams of what are going to be banned. Now, one thing we should say off the top of the show, in terms of bans that the teams do not have to participate in, we got 2. We have Snorlax and Urshifu. Both Pokemon do have some bugs that are just a little too finicky to play around, so we are going to be banning them from the tournament tonight. However, the teams are both going to get 1 global ban. So it is going to be XiS having first pick, so they are going to ban first.
Great spot to be in. It really helps set up the texture of what the rest of the draft looks like, right? So Kakuna Matata is going to have the opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, Zoinks, he's going to get first ban, first pick, but Kakuna Matata is going to get 2 on the hop.
Yes, exactly. So Kakuna Matata. Also, some people will consider second ban to be hold on, sorry, we got one. From Attorney. Sorry about that. Okay, yes, some people will consider second bans to be even more powerful than first ban. You can really, you can punt a ban, you can take away a meta pick, so it really is a good spot. But yeah, I think the highlight is going to be that double pick out that Kakuna Matata gets their chance at. But XiS is going to start things off here with an Eldegoss ban.
Very interesting. Any thoughts, rhyme, or reason behind that? A Pokemon that in the support role did actually see a pretty reasonable did get a reasonable held item in that in the scarf here, the rapid fire scarf, and I like see it getting Sableye out of here early. Come on, let's keep that nonsense down to a minimum.
Yeah, exactly. The new Pokemon, the most recent menace to the ladder that a lot of people have had to deal with. But you're right, Eldegoss has been a not a very popular ban that we've seen in Unite Mics Mayhem so far, but they must know something I don't. That being said, we have our first pick of this game number 1. XiS is going to be picking up the Dodrio. Now we have Kakuna Matata with 2 picks back. Doob, I've given you no chance that all these teams are moving fast, which we actually love today. We have Blissey and Mamoswine being picked up by Kakuna Matata.
I listen, if the one absolute thorn in the side and Sableye is going to be taken away, you might as well pick up the other one. That's exactly what XiS did, right? Dodrio can cause so many headaches for the opposing squad, and Kakuna Matata locking themselves into a very strong defender, and of course Blissey, which is just amazing, kind of in the dark with its very unique hit to be able to just go like full heal or go like helping hand safeguard, and of course that Unite move is nothing to scoff at either.
Yeah, no, not at all. So we had the game plan of XiS out the gate with grabbing a carry immediately, and on the flip side, Kakuna Matata instead going with a bit more of their front line. However, XiS responding with a bit of their own, a Mr. Mime pick, but also a Glaceon pick. So we have the Brazilian team definitely favoring a lot of damage, where Kakuna Matata has sort of been shoring up their defensive and healing shores.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made that since Snorlax, which even when it's not bugged, is one of the best defenders out there, if you're not going to get Snorlax, then you might be just okay with whatever's left over, which is more than reasonable. Because I mean, you can have Wigglytuff slot into that role, so you have other Pokemon that can easily step in and play that defender role. And Kakuna Matata they chose early, so you kind of already know what's going to be available for you, and you can pick accordingly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because you're trying to go up against a Dodrio and a Glaceon, two very different damage game plans of Pokemon when it comes to it. I mean, you have Glaceon, one of the strongest range attackers in the game, Dodrio, that chase down, get in your face, and get out immediately kind of option. So Kakuna Matata does not have some great chase down tools yet. They may need to find something like that if they're going to really punish a Dodrio and a Glaceon in the same game.
Yeah, Dodrio can really slide in, have a ton of impact, and has so much mobility to get back out. That's what's going to be important. So Kakuna Matata, I mean, Mamoswine does have a pretty decent kit. If you can hit it on the Dodrio on the way in, you can kind of catch it and take it out in that sense. But Kakuna Matata is going to have to form the rest of their squad, with certainly the Dodrio always in the frontal lobe as they're making those choices. And Greninja, a good ranged attacker here, and going to be able to deal a ton of damage from hopefully a safe distance onto those Pokemon.
That's a really interesting point, too, because Greninja we've seen to be, after some recent buffs, a Pokemon that their ranged part of their kit has definitely seen some improvements, the Water Shuriken being a choice for a lot of people, but who knows? We are going to be headed into a brand new world. Surf could still be a viable option, especially just a big burst damage tool might be something you want to see when Dodrio is coming your way. But we have the final two picks from XiS here. We have Slowbro and Scizor rounding out their first game draft.
Scizor got a huge boost, or more specifically, the Scyther got a great boost in this last patch. And you know me, Zoinks, I'm a big fan of the Slowbro, and that is a heck of a consolation prize, taking your defender last and getting a Slowbro, who's we've definitely see the stonks go to the moon in these draft type events because it's such a safe pick. It has very unique abilities and can really do a great job either with its Scald or depending on the opposing team, or its Surf, and of course its Unite move is huge. And I like this Blastoise pick as well. Gives you something chunky up front to eat some of that damage that Dodrio and really pin it down when it comes into the action.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. Blastoise rounding it out is just two full defender Pokemon by role. Blastoise has definitely seen its fair share of place in every metagame, but also Gamma, we are good and ready to go, so send us into game at any point when you want to, and we will jump into our round number 1. I'm very excited, Dude Snacks. Let's take a look at what items these two teams are building.
That's one of my favorite parts of this new draft format. We talked a little bit about it on Overdunk last night, but not something I'm going to let slide again. The items can be very unique here, and we actually see Fall pick up that new crown, an item that Laz was not impressed with whatsoever. But this Brazilian team, of course, I say that, and they switched from that to weakness policy on the fly.
Of course.
So maybe not today. Caster's Curse early today.
That's true. I don't think Caster Curse is often curse yourself, but I suppose it can count this time around. But yeah, some interesting selections. Of course, a full-on experience share, special attack specs Blizzy for Revy64 Puff TV. I like that play. Flame Jam also going with the specs and the energy amp. Blastoise Unite move is so incredibly powerful. Why not double down into it? Makes a lot of sense to me.
I mean, you gotta see Salto with that badge of honor and that mime getting tons of reps in. And you look at the top at Kakuna Matata, they have chosen a ton of Pokemon that they're used to playing with.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Also, sorry about that, everybody. We are going to be headed into a reset. Unfortunately, one game crashed for one of our players, so we are going to get that done in just a short second. Thank you for your patience, everybody. But yeah, interesting draft, interesting build. I can actually put it back on the draft chat if we want to discuss that instead. Of course, these players are going to be going back in with the exact same teams, and we talked a lot about that Slowbro Dupe Snacks, that being one of the most powerful last picks in Mayhem. It's kind of a steal that you get it in that final section. Why do you think that it's just so powerful?
Yeah, I mean, Slowbro itself, it's not so much how powerful it is. It's
I'm
how...
so sorry. I was to cut you off. We are actually playing it out. They are back.
Okay.
So
We're
I'm going to
back
throw us back into the screen. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm sorry about that.
All right, Junction coming across. Lel going to be responsible for keeping them from stacking too much in their faces. We got to check out their held items, but I mean, when you're putting in 3 points, that's almost free. As Kakuna Matata stacking early, and we see that Dodrio getting a ton of points in downstairs as well. So a good start by both squads and what they want to be doing here in their stacking endeavors.
Machamp's had an interesting history across all of competitive Unite. You've seen some metas where it absolutely pops off, but it has great moments. I don't remember seeing it win many tournaments. You know what I mean? It's a great, powerful pick, but the consistency doesn't always seem like it's there. However, some teams really want to count on it. Kakuna Matata, definitely finding themselves in that category. Grease here on XiS is already at level 5. Glaceon has just such an incredibly fast clear, one of the best in the game. So this first beast is going to be a huge advantage for their squad. Spodyak's trying to get the body, though. They're finding the KO early.
Yeah, they picked that up and opened up the door for the rest of Kakuna Matata to get good experience. Lel is half HP and a good time engages. 2 players on them. Spodyak and A-Goats are trying to sort it out. Lel on the chopping block, and Lel goes down to the furry Roomba. Fob just responsible for holding down that goal zone. Was going with the Scizor, believe it or not, and saying, I'm good for now, as we have a Dodrio for Mazo.
Yeah, this was the first pick of XiS, by the way, and you know that they are going to be counting on big things from this Pokemon. If they want to secure this pick that early, you don't know what other teams want the Dodrio as bad, right? You could often leave this pick until later in the draft, but XiS showing such a strong presence of desire for this Pokemon really spells out a lot. And when Mazo is playing this, baby Mazo himself on this Pokemon, you know that's going to have big impact in this game.
Weezing coming in, almost playing like a pseudo pillow body in front of Mazo so they can peel off and not take a chunk of damage as they go back for the engage, get decent damage in on Spodyak and A-Goats, and are now just kind of forced to retreat yet again because we know Dodrio, if it gets caught out, can get buckled very quickly. A-Goats back on the defensive game as Falb and Lel just going to peel back, got a couple points in for the squad, and XiS is up by a narrow margin.
Yeah, XiS with a pretty strong offensive composition, just however, they don't really have the staying power to stick it out right now. Junction takes a lot of damage, has to back away for that Citrus Berry, and Bulb is actually able to get enough healing. They go right back in, but finds a left hook from Junction as yet another KO comes through.
Yeah, I think they were trying to bail out, but actually got caught on that wall a little bit, which gave Kakuna the opportunity to close the door on them, get themselves some comeback experience, which of course is invaluable at this point in the game. You want to make sure that you're keeping up on experience. But look at this pressure by XiS all over Revy, who's trying to hold it down by themselves. Here comes Flame Jam, a little bit of support. They're going to see what they can find. They're trying to buy some space. Revy has forced to back out, and now Salto is just buying and blocking with their body to get Mazo out as they take the big bird in the middle, and they're out no worse for wear. Falb goes down again.
They want these stacks. They want these stacks real bad. And I'll give it, top path has been a little bit rough for XiS, but the points are stacking up. They've gotten these scores in through narrow margins, and bottom path has been going pretty well for them. So, though Kakuna Matata has some good presence, they actually find the Regirock secure. Spodyak, one of the only people that actually showed up for that objective. A Bliss Assistance goes on to them, and they start doing insane amounts of damage.
Huge KO on Mazo down, and that's going to open up the door for some points to go in as Spodyak and Flame Jam peel back. They're trying to get their points points, and we're looking upstairs, and Kakuna Matata's okay holding it down, as Lel is playing very far forward. Guizin, who is kind of doing great cover fire for the rest of the lane here, is actually working on Regieleki, seeing they can chunk that down and get that thing down before rest of Kakuna Matata peels up. But that's going to be a fruitless endeavor here, as Kakuna Matata's looking good, but that Regieleki's going down. Machoke engages on Guizin, and that forces out the Unite move. Guizin's forced to peel back, and can they get a KO back the other way? No, Junction is finding their way into the mix here, and it's actually the Mr. Mime that locks down the Regieleki. It's going to the face of Kakuna Matata. That's just a tier 1 goal zone. Junction so low. Who's going to get credit for the KO there? They can't be long for this world. It's the Mr. Mime, of course. They're pushing far forward. That Pokemon got nerfed, but it's still looking good. Spirit Fingers, we're chucking roadblocks everywhere. Everybody's catching the receipts on that. Zoinks, we're rapid spinning, water spouting everywhere. Finally, the Slowbro goes down. Salto, not going to be long for this world either, because they're getting pinched on. Here comes Mazo for the support. They're forced to back out, a big time engage, and finally things are settling out for just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, settling finally. We're just finding some big KOs, though. Still, Regieleki passive still being created. Mazo finds a way to score 29. The rapid spin is enough for Flame Jam to get a bit of an escape, but Junction swings back in, trying to get a bit of vengeance. They find one KO. Mazo cannot run quick enough to dodge the close combat. Junction with him, a Champ Unite, soars back into this one, earns a couple of KOs. These scores go in. Kakuna Matata is on the fast track to tying this game up.
Yeah, and now it's poised for a big-time overdunk in that top goal zone here. Z's forced to just put the pressure on, see if they can get Junction to retreat. Flam Jam's out as well, but here comes Spodiak giving the cover back the other way. Rapid Spin, Water Spout, that door is shattered on top of the Glaceon. No ice is railed today. It's melting down, and Spodiak now is looking for that goal zone. They want it. Mazo's going to try and cut them off.
Yeah, they got to try to stop. They burst damage from Dojo. Is nothing to sneeze at, but Spodiak's healing from those surfs is enough to keep them up. Mazo cannot continue that fight. That being said, of course, the Unite move, definitely something that is going to be a great get-off-me tool in that situation. Now, Agos here, Austin Goes on this Mamoswine. It's definitely one of their pocket picks. They love playing this Pokemon. I've had some highlight reel moments, but the chase down is not quite enough when you find 3 members of XiS in that corner, especially the most tanky moments. It's going to be a tough fight.
Jumping right back in, trying to do as much damage before they get taken out, and they're holding on here as the Mr. Mime Unite soars back the other way. Machamp goes down, and they're trying to find A-Goats now, but it's the Blastoise Unite that chips up and catches A-Goats. Not allowed to close it down here. Aziz is trying to smother this Rapid Spin Water Spouting Blastoise. The Blissed Assist comes out just in time. That's going to be huge. Fall is so low. Sato getting pressured back, and the Registeel, it's just taking collateral damage, and finally the focus goes on it as Sato's trying to find their way in. Those Egg Bombs are finding their mark. Revi's doing great work here. Lel unafraid. Big time surf right into the guts here, chipping it up, stalling him down. Salto with the Confusion Blast, absolutely stunning up that Blastoise, but the war rage is on down here as 2 players from XiS are down. Flame Jam is still standing. Revi is there, and it's the Mamoswine that takes the Regieleki, and I think it's the Slowbro for XiS that actually took that Registeel.
It was, I mean, finally something gets knocked out. That Blastoise was not going anywhere with a Blissey in pocket. Constant heals keeping them ready to go, not to mention Blastoise is just natural tankiness as that defender role. Now, this game is only got 2 minutes and 45 left, and we are incredibly close. XiS, of course, tries to break that streak with a nice score, but they are going to pay for it. A quick turn and burn for the carries of Kakuna Matata. Almost level 14 Greninja on their side is going to be the highest level in the game as we head into the final stretch. Being said, XiS does have a couple of big carry Pokemon on their side as well. 3 level 13s is going to be a big maneuver. Soto caught out, forced out a very early Unite move. The fight starts now. Kakuna Matata with a ton of information and a great start.
Spodiak is absolutely shattering Salto. They saw blood in the water and they wanted it. Lel getting pushed back now. Mazo forced to engage, but they get chunked by a Mamoswine Icicle as that falls from the sky and puts an Ice Age all over them. Lel putting the pressure on here, and look where Falb is staying. They're staying behind. Big Surf Engage goes for it, but they are going to get shredded here by Flame Jam, Revi, and A-Goats, and they're putting the pressure on. Here comes Spodiak for the damage. That Blastoise Unite didn't hit the side of a barn here as the rest of XiS is on the backside. Mazo's looking to engage. They're pretty good. They use their Unite move to get into the middle. They try to get to the backside. Big time push by A-Goats. They caught out the Dodrio. Are you kidding me? Falb gonna have to go for the re-engage here. They want the Blastoise. They get them. KO streak of 2, and they're putting the pressure on XiS. All of a sudden, looking like they're on broadside of nowhere. They're finding themselves in the main stride of Broad Street, and now they're pushing back forward. Junction is getting mad low. Revi's coming in, surfed by Lel, and that's a KO streak of 2 back the other way for Spodiak. And all of these just absolute haymakers going back the other way. Another player down, and it's Mazo getting Spodiak, and that's a huge one one for XiS, but Junction about to put in a hundo burger.
They're going to have to play some mad defense, though. Dodrio's scoring prowess is better than any Pokemon in the game. Luckily, the defense has made it back in time. Austin goes on a great presence of mind rotation by the Mamoswine, but XiS has decided that information they gained from Mazo's departure is enough to start hitting the Ray, but Kakuna Matata has returned. Mazo with some big scores in the bottom path, but they have not taken the lead. They are still down by 6 with only 45 left in the game.
Kakuna Matata, 4 players down. XiS is going to converge on this Rayquaza. This is their moment here. They're watching for Spodyak. Spodyak's going to try and be an absolute legend for Kakuna Matata, but here comes that Surf, here comes that Engage, here comes that Mr. Mime, and that's another KO for them. I'm sorry?
He did enough time to make it reheal. The Ray went back to full HP with only 30 seconds left in the game. I thought it might be relevant, but I did not know that XiS was actually scoring in the meantime. I'm sorry for jumping in. I was so shocked. I thought it was going to be a big thing, but I don't think it was. So congratulations to XiS on a great maneuver.
Yeah, I mean, what they did is they saw that Engage, they saw so many players down, they went with a split push. Yes, the Ray healed there, to your point, but because they were going to score and had just enough damage sitting on top of that, they were able to do that. We finally see a Scizor Unite move. I think we'd missed every other one that fired off in this game, and XiS here is going to take themselves a game 1 in face of a very strong and robust looking Kakuna Matata squad.
Yeah, fantastic gameplay there for XiS. Just great coordination in the end game. They had me guessing constantly of what their game plan was, and it was a successful one as we watch the scoreline tick up here. Hopefully, I'll get to see it. We do have a few spectator bugs in the game. There it is, 837 points for XiS, 299 for Kakuna Matata. Cannot describe how close that game was, though, up until those final moments. Back and forth games. You just watch the beautiful graph we have in front of us. So incredibly close. XiS with their just strategy of getting the scores in very early and often keeping that game close in the early game and then finding big swings in the late game.
Yeah, you're looking at the recovery that Revy provided for the squad, but unfortunately that didn't leverage as well as we would have thought in that fight, despite having a couple advantages, right? Forcing out Salto's Unite move very early, and the damage spread between all the other players on both teams, pretty even here, Zoinks. These teams were moving together, and they're finding their moments, not giving up too many egregious KOs.
Yeah, pretty big moments across the board. Well, I'll bring it back to us for 1 second with XiS at a 1-0 lead. That means headed into next draft, that means that Kakuna Matata is going to have choice of who gets first draft pick and whatnot. So let me just ask the team to see what they want to decide.
Yeah, it's going to carve out a good path. And what a great adjustment. Is it an adjustment? Great team fight after Salto getting caught out. Forced out the Unite move at the 2:17 mark, and that caused all of XiS to really course correct in an instant. And they did very well. Mazo actually peeled back. They were able to storm back, get 2 KOs. They were able to keep Spodyak from going completely off the rails. They gave 2 KOs back. But when the dust settled, it was XiS ready for the re-engage. They caught the Blissey Revy early, right? Gobbled them up. The Mr. Mime got a KO streak of 3. Salto, of course, maybe getting a little bit of revenge for having to be their Unite move forced out early. And then they did the awesome leave players on Ray to try and burn that down, send players to each of the goal zones remaining to get some points in, see if we can really split the attention of this Kakuna Matata squad when they're coming off respawn. It worked like a charm.
Absolutely, could not agree more. Nice, great breakdown. But yeah, we are going to have Kakuna Matata doing first pick or first ban in this case, and they of course are going to stick with their bans from last game. Sableye is going to be our first ban of the game.
Look, I like it. I like it. It's just a menace of a Pokemon without a doubt. So go ahead, get that out of here, and don't have to deal with it. XiS is banning Dodrio themselves.
Interesting. Okay, interesting strategy coming out here from the side of XiS, banning Dodrio away, and the Blissey is going to be the next selection here for the side of Kakuna Matata.
That's very interesting. Maybe XiS really favoring, hey, when we can get the first pick and guarantee ourselves Dodrio, then we'll take Dodrio. If it's not that, we're not letting it in the game whatsoever. So they clearly have an understanding of what they want to be doing and what they certainly don't want to be dealing with. Kakuna Matata taking Blissey is a good look. Revi looked strong. They were playing very far forward in that last fight, which unfortunately didn't allow them to provide the support for the rest of the squad, but that's an easy adjustment for Kakuna Matata. They're getting themselves a solid Pokemon there.
Yeah, I think it was one of those Bliss assistants that went onto the Machamp. Probably should have went into the Blastoise when it was at low HP. May have been a mistake. May have been intentional. Not too sure. But yeah, we have to change things up for game number 2, obviously. But we do have 2 picks in here for XiS. Mamoswine and Glaceon. 2 ice Pokemon are going to be swinging in for them. Glaceon, same pick, but stealing away the Mamo pick from Kakuna Matata. A-Goat's not going to be on it this time around.
Yep, A-Goats was flossing out there on that Mamoswine, doing a lot of work, keeping their legs from under them for long, extended periods of times in those team fights, looking very, very good. So Z seeing that and said, we want a bit of that action, and we'll support it with another ice type here and make sure that we're really representing that branch of the element Pokemon element tree. That's the word I'm looking for.
It's very true. Yeehaw to everybody in chat. Thank you so much for the gigantic raid. Spraggles obviously means a ton. We're right in the middle of Unite Mics Mayhem game number 1. Great time to come in. XiS right now with a 1-0 lead over top of Kakuna Matata. We're in the middle of a draft where Kakuna Matata has just selected Scizor and Mr. Mime. We are trading tanks here in game number 2.
Well, look, I mean, there's a reason that both those teams picked them is because they're powerful. So
that is correct.
that shouldn't be too surprising. If you don't get one, take the other without a doubt. However, I will say the Slowbro didn't look too bad for XiS, so they could have had an opportunity to kind of sandbag one to the end of the finish line. Scizor coming in, I want to see Scyther. To be quite honest, off of this, stick away from the Scizor route, go with Scyther, and Azumarill, just a great top path Pokemon, really good all over the map, and another great choice by XiS here. As you know, it's not ice type, but it's melted water, and here we go. XiS taking Eldegoss, the Pokemon that they banned in the first game.
Yeah, XiS completely flip-flopping on their strategy. You remember last game, XiS going hard after their carry Pokemon at the start of the draft, and this time around, they've decided to go with more of their tanky, or even their artillery cannon of Glaceon, where side of Kakuna Matata is sticking to their guns a little bit. They are going to be finishing off their draft as well, Kakuna Matata is. They are going to select Zoroark, which is a new Pokemon to Unite Mics Mayhem, and Blastoise yet again. Yeah,
Blastoise, I love that as an anchor pick. It looked amazing in that first game. It really looked, it really was the highlight Pokemon for the Kakuna Matata squad. XiS, interesting spot to go. I almost feel like whatever Pokemon they pick here is going to end up in the hands of Mazo. I'm not going to treat that as gospel by any means. Yeah. But we saw the Glaceon be played by another player on XiS, so I wouldn't be surprised if this next pick is whatever Mazo wants, and we'll grip and rip from there.
Maybe. Grip and Rip is definitely the right description to select, though. We have a Buzzwole this time around. That is awesome. Also, guys, I'll fix the Nightbot chat in a sec. I'm sorry about that. We'll get that sorted out. But we are ready to go. These games are all set. Players are headed into lobby. So let's make sure we bring up that game right now. Okay, and they didn't switch sides. Love to see that. We just saw the draft. We are now going to see some item selections headed in. I'm excited. We saw that all in on the Unite Move Blastoise build last time around. I'm interested to see where Spodyak wants to go with the Zoroark. Their Greninja looked excellent last game, but, doubling down on the big combo Pokemon of Zoroark can be a risk, but it can also find you a lot of success. Mazo's Buzzwole, though, not going to be an easy target. Double stacking items originally selected, instead could be going weakness policy, attack weight. Soto, though, double stacking Mamoswine.
Yeah, really going to try and leverage that thing to the end of the game and make sure it can hang and be a big body up front for the rest of the squad. And, let Lel just kind of support from the background, let Guizin shoot over their shoulder a little bit as they just take every ounce of damage that this Kakuna Matata squad can throw in their face.
Exactly. I'm going to time out Nightbot for now. We'll figure that out later. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so much damage. You are right. I think that is a great description. But XiS found some big ways to throw the damage back the other direction last time. Now, I'm interested to see. Last time, the Blissey support was almost the entire game in the pocket of the Blastoise. Rapid Spin was where they were going with, with everything they could. Now, will that still be the case? The lane is the same, but let's see where they decide to go off the opening rip. Lel finding their way into the top path. I've noticed Z's also not going with the double experience share, a very, very common build, but Kakuna Matata not doing it either, deciding that Agos wants other items on it this time around.
They were waiting for Junction. They're all over, and let's see if they can get a KO here. Then Meryl just going to try to put in work. That Punk Rock Meryl really wants it. Goes for the deep engage. Goats can't wall them off, but Junction's going to get both of those berries. And of course, Filep is going to get a couple stacks of their own. Lel's going to try and give support, but we know Gossifleur's a little struggle bus at the beginning of the game here as they're forced to peel back a little bit, but it looks like that Roomba with fur is doing a decent job getting their early stacks, and as Mazo is just trying to chuck some big fists into the faces of those tiny Pokemon, and it's reeling back. The Ultra Beast engages again, tries to find Flame Jam, and is putting the pressure on. They want them bad. Mazo's going in the pursuit. Revy comes in with a big punch, and again they get the KO back on Mazo. The big engage, and they do. They smother it down. Revy gets the credit for the KO on Mazo, and that's a heck of a stand for Kakuna Matata early.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, trading back and forth. Mazo getting more and more stacks in, but the Blissey shutting everything down there in the end. I mean, you have to remember, if Buzzwole gets that knockout, that Beast Boost passive increases, and then immediately slides into a 2 knockout for that player, but instead, they get knocked out by the Blissey. Fantastic defense there from Kakuna Matata. Zisto with a lot of early scoring, and with how many stacking items we saw, that is definitely according to plan.
Yeah, Z is doing great work in the top path, though. Yes, things went a bit sideways here in the bottom pack, but they're able to get all the birds up top because Guizin came with the big-time engage, and they're really able to keep Kakuna Matata stuck on their goal pad as they took all the birds in the middle, getting good experience for themselves there. Salto, the Pillow Swine getting in there, and that's a KO back on the Blissey. A little bit of revenge here as Flame Jam's going to try to hold it down. War Turtle, not about that war, not about that action right now, as Salto's getting pushed back. Mazo's kind of getting shredded, though, able to get a quick 9er in and forced to peel back as Salto just being an enormous damage sponge, but that lets Kakuna Matata get everything in the middle. Spodyak jumping on Lel, Junction trying to engage, throwing those Scyther slashes here, and it's Mr. Mime getting the credit for 2.
Yeah. Spodyak landing some big plays, but of course Agos stealing away every last bit of KO pressure they can take. Big play from Spodyak. That damage is absurd if you land every shot on the path to the final blow. Amazing maneuver from them, slashing all the way through, diving in, which also we just got in from chat. The U is silent in Guizin, so it's just Guizin, I believe. So if we want to pronounce that one right. But hey, they find themselves a KO on a retreating Mr. Mime. Great shots from range. They're able to shut that down. This has been an explosive game already before the 7-minute mark. Seriously, these two teams love to fight, and they are doing it often. It's everything Revipuff can do to keep these two players off of their goal zone.
Yeah, but they're being relentless. It's 2 level 7s in the face of level 6, level 7 back the other way. Junction goes for the engaged Spodyak, or excuse me, Salto trying to get into the mix, but it's Spodyak jumping in, flipping, and finding their next mark like an Olympic diver. But it's 2-on-1, and that's Filep sealing the deal on the Zoroark. No impersonations here. I'm getting KOs, baby. And it's a Blastoise ticking over for Kakuna Matata. They're going to try and get some points in the face, while Z's isn't in this path.
They're going to earn a lot of experience as well. They're going to get that bottom Regi, the basement Regi, as we like to call it, for absolutely free. But Regieleki is going to swing the other direction, and a goal zone break there from Guizin is going to make this a threat that Podiak is going to need to deal with. Zoroark gives out a lot of damage, but not exactly who you want to be defending your main goal zone. A slash does not find its mark. They don't get the full combo. A Bliss Assistance is needed.
Bliss Assistance is huge, and it lets Spodyak peel back and re-engage if they want it. They find Lel quickly. The Blissey gets credit for that, but it's Filep, the next one on the chopping block, as they're chucking that tail around just like a big old mace, trying to buy some real estate, but Kakuna Matata lets them off the hook, says we're going to take care of Regieleki, but Z's eyes up, eyes on the prize. They see that bottom path is open, and they're going for it, getting all the experience and getting more points and putting that thing on the brink of getting closed out.
Yeah, Mazo and Soto both have to be stacked up to perfection right now. So much damage is going to come out of these two players, especially when they have such high burst potentials out of both of them. They find that very narrow hallway between those two barriers to make it out. Mr. Mime not able to trap them there. Soto looking for the engage. They're going to find 4 players charging them instead as this fight starts off in earnest.
Oh, and that's all 5 players for Kakuna Matata in there. Mr. Mime Unite comes out and they're trying to leverage that. Zoro gets a KO in the back of that on XiS, and now they're going to push back. XiS is trying to hold it down. They're fighting for their pad, and all of Kakuna Matata is being absolutely relentless. 2 players down and shredded for XiS as those points are going in. That glow zone is closed, and there's no safe space now as the Blastoise Unite comes out, chips it up. 2 more players down. Scyther getting those, and XiS is absolutely hammered in this bottom path. Kakuna Matata, heck of a push, close it out of goal zone.
Yeah, the fight absolutely washed for them. However, no goals scored off the back of it. That goal zone was already broken, and Kakuna Matata did not exactly have the staying power to push all the way to tier 2. So they do get some big KOs. They earn some more experience for sure, but no points given to them at all. So they are not going to be catching up necessarily in this game. They've broken 2 goal zones, and only at 187 means that overdunks were probably not in high fruition for these first early breaks. So XiS definitely has the upper hand, 221 to 187. They're looking at Regieleki as well as the next objective they want to push.
Yeah, absolutely. And XiS still has that outer goal zone for a quick cap later on in the game if they want to. Salto just doing an amazing job kind of bullying and really being the greatest subcontractor for XiS right now. Just building just walls and buildings in front of this Kakuna Matata squad, not letting them into the city square here. And his junction goes in. They use their Unite move, but they are dusted so quickly by Gizen. That damage is too strong. Gizen's kind of low, though, so they're forced to retreat. Lel going to try and babysit them a little bit, but look where Salto is. They're keeping Flame Jam from being able to engage and get into the mix. Revi's still in their pocket. Flame Jam's going to try and make a move. That Regieleki's low, and I think Flame Jam wants to use their Unite move. But here comes Gizen. They're trying to pin it down. That Rapid Spin Water Spout comes out. They're getting low on damage, and they're trying to find it. The Bliss Assistance rollers through. They're on Gizen, and they're going to try and convert the KO. Lel forced out. Bliss Assistance, excuse me, the Unite move for the Blastoise comes out. Doesn't take anybody, but Spodyak gets a KO on Mazo somewhere else on the map, downstairs, I guess, at the basement Reggie. But this fight roars on. That Blastoise is absolutely dusting the XiS squad and able to hold on, forced back, and that Regieleki has to have leashed and started getting some of that HP back.
Now, I talked about how the levels have been great for Kakuna Matata, but maybe not the scores. That being said, with how much time was bought in that top path by Blastoise and Blissey, yes, they didn't find any big KOs. Yes, they don't get Regieleki, but all that time spent fighting in those situations, especially when behind on levels, means it was less time to knock out the wild Pokemon, whereas Kakuna Matata is going to be scaling up higher and higher and higher. Junction wants to take this fight. Unite move used. A passive from Glaceon is enough for an escape, but how long will it run? As Junction gets the chase down, they knock out one ice Pokemon. Can they take the duel against the second?
Well, Salto comes in. That's a little bit different of a ticket to ride here in the face of that huge Pokemon Junction intelligently retreats, saying, I'm not about that action. Fob's playing very far forward. That goal zone's at 2. That's going to set it up for a big time overdunk here under the 2-minute mark if they wait that long. Rapid Spin, Water Spout, and of course the Pocket Blissey doing tons of work for XiS, and they're going for it. They're going for the big 38, and that Mamoswine scored in short order. Bang! 261 to 187. We're going to the final throws of this one.
And make no mistake, XiS was holding on for an overdunk in that entire way. You saw how the early game in that bottom path went out. Both the Mamoswine and Buzzwole, Soto and Malzo respectively, were scoring constantly. That goal zone could have broken aeons ago if they wanted it to, but instead they waited for a big overdunk play. Now they have the lead, they have the advantage, and Mazo's got a free lane all the way to the goal zone.
Yeah, they're going upstairs to score, and Salto's just doing a great job leashing Kakuna Matata around. Nobody seems to have picked up on them, and by the time they realize it's going to be too late, Hundo Burgers and Duck at time everywhere. Salto's going for the engage. Now Kakuna Matata needs to get these KOs. Bliss Assistance his Spodyak. Spodyak needs to re-engage and use that as Salto's trying to find the Mr. Mime. They're still holding on, and the Eldegoss Unite comes down and heals up Salto, allowing them to keep into the action and keep the pressure on Spodyak as Salto is still up, and there's 3 players now for Kakuna Matata, and they got that Hundo Burger back cap.
XiS just playing so incredibly efficiently throughout that entire fight. The Unite moves that they were spending in return forcing out the others were just so in their favor, it wasn't even funny. Spodyak with their full combo is not enough to knock out Rayquaza. No steal on the menu for Kakuna Matata, and XiS is going to secure it. Incredible team fight. We'll have to break that one down in a moment, but right now XiS is trying to secure this game in only 2 fashion. It is a best of 3, but they don't want to see that third one as they have a 461 point score right now, and they're going for even more.
Yeah, Spodyak went for a little dine and dash trying to get in there and get some Hundo Burgers in for their own, and the rest of the squad here didn't quite pan out. They were able to see that. absolutely delete Spodyak with just a sliver of health left on their Rayquaza. They go ahead and get that KO. Now they're just fighting on the goal pad. They're trying to stretch this lead out as long as they can. 733 to 187. Kakuna Matata, your backs are against the wall and your head is on the chopping block. What are you going to do about it? Giesen says, I'll sort that out. I'll be the guillotine guy today. They dropping that down and they sorting them out. XiS is putting the pressure on and they look good. And they're going to take themselves a win and move on. In Unite Mics Mayhem Season 2, Week 1.
Yeah, okay, I'm also getting from chat, because we do have some of their fans in it. I believe it is XiS. So, XiS, I guess. I have been pronouncing it wrong so far, so my apologies to everyone watching. But XiS with an incredible game win there, just like you were saying, too, Snacks. So many points in that late game. But realistically, it comes down to an incredible team fight win and great macro play as well. Mazo with the back cap, great team fight play. Soto just playing that Mamoswine to perfection, going in, going out, baiting out Unite move, forcing their own Unite move just to trigger lesser Unite moves back the other direction. Damage numbers pretty spectacular from some members of Kakuna Matata though. 95k from Spodyak. Fob finding that 100k marker though.
Yeah, and just a great look by both Spodyak to try and carry the squad in that mid game, allow it to get to that late game. We all know that Zoroark's late game is a little lackluster, but really Spodyak did their role. They bridged that gap for the squad, allowing them to have a real opportunity in those last 2 minutes. But Salto was just too much. Catching, I mean, it's almost, you had the Blissey in the pocket of Flame Jam. You had the whole team in the pocket of Salto. They said, if you're doing your job, we'll shoot over your shoulder. The Cotton Crash coming down with that huge heal, allowing Salto to re-engage on Spodyak after they picked up the Bliss assistance, giving them tons and tons and tons of legs to keep on running that race in the last 2 minutes. And Salto was definitely where my pseudo caster MVP would go, because they were impressive from bell to bell.
Well, I like it a lot. It's not the last we're going to see of XiS tonight. They are going to be playing the winner of our second match, which is going to be starting in just mere moments. But as I get that set up on my end, I'm going to throw it to a very short break, and we will be back with more Unite Mics Mayhem Season 2 action.